All right, so here we are together again. We are going to be talking about angle and perspective. Um, this is a very, very important class and a topic that you should know as photographers. So a couple of things that you need to know about it. I'm just going to start with general information. Everything that I'm going to be teaching will always be up here, so keep that in mind. All right, so some general information is most beginning and amateur photographers shoot from the same shot at the same height and angle. This is something we want to stay away from. What that means is when people start at photography, most of the time they get really excited, they have a camera, they come to class, and what they're going to tend to do, excuse me one moment, is that they are just going to shoot the same shot right here from this, and they never move from the shot. Like, oh, great shot, boom, great shot, boom, great shot, boom. And as a result of that, all of the photos that they take tend to look very, very boring after a while. And the reason why is they're not applying or don't know about these principles in which I'll be discussing today. So we want to get out of that position, that boring position. Now, what this is going to mean is that angle and perspective is by far the most physically demanding topic as photographers. In fact, to be a pretty good photographer, you need to be able to move around. Cameras, kind of think of it this way, cameras don't like to stay in the same position. They like to move around. So we're going to talk about different ways in which we can do that. What angle and perspective is going to do, like I just said, it's going to force us to move out of these boring positions. And as I just mentioned, it's physically demanding. And what that means is we're going to have to climb onto stable surfaces. Obviously, we're going to want to, if we climb onto anything, we want to make sure it's stable. It's going to require us to squat down, to bend over, to stretch. Sometimes we're going to actually have to stretch to get the shot. A lot of the times we're going to even have to lay down. Some of the best images that come out are usually photographers that are laying down flat on the floor, their stomachs on the floor, just to get the shot in order to frame that perfect shot. So those are some ideas to consider whenever you are shooting for any given shot. Now, how we're going to achieve this is going to be pretty important, and from this point on, whenever you're shooting using this particular method of angle and perspective, you are going to have to shoot one subject at 5 different angles. Okay? Now, it doesn't have to be these angles which I'm going to talk about right now, but it should generally be from 5 different angles. So if I take this dry erase marker right over here and just have it, actually I'll even do one better. I'll place it kind of right over here. What that's going to mean is that I'm going to want to take my camera, and I don't want it to have that one boring shot. I'm going to want to take one shot here, maybe have my back to you guys for just a second, maybe one shot here, using a little bit of zoom. I might want to get low, one shot right over here, so that's 3. Maybe change my perspective and go perhaps down over here, one shot 4, and then maybe right on top, again with my back to you guys, one shot 5. Well, now what I see in this shot is my shoes are in there, so I'm going to have to kind of bend over so that my shoes or background clutter is not in there, and now get that shot. Okay, so you're going to have to keep those things in mind. So photography is a lot more challenging than most people think, because a lot of that has to deal with being able to see and frame, the images correctly. So we don't want any background clutter. In that last example, I was shooting down on the dry erase marker, but my shoe was inside of the frame. So I actually had to move my feet back and then bend over to get that shot, so that you would see the dry erase marker, but you wouldn't see my shoes. Okay, so kind of, you got to keep that in mind. Now, There are 5 different perspectives we're going to talk about, and these perspectives we should kind of keep in mind. Keep in mind, from every perspective that I'm going to be talking about, you could shoot at different angles from that perspective. So the first perspective is going to be the most challenging. It's bird's eye view. Now, a bird's eye, think about ravens or hawks that fly high in the air and they're looking down. So that's basically a bird's eye view. Now, we're not going to be able to do this because in order to do that, we'd have to jump into an airplane or a helicopter. But alternatively, technically, we can achieve this effect if we're standing like on a mountain ledge or close to a ledge, and we're looking down into a ravine or something down on off of a cliff. That's considered a bird's eye view. So we're not going to be able to do that. However, if some school campuses will actually have mini cliffs. I don't want to say like a mini cliff, but like a place that sharply drops off. Usually it's near a gate or something like that. That would be considered a bird's eye view. And so what we would do in those situations is walk right up to the gate, and we would try to get our cameras through the gate hole and then shoot and angle our camera down to get the shot. The next one I'm going to talk about is high angle. Now, high angle is kind of, this is where from this point all the way, from 2 to 5, we can do. High angle just means stepping onto a stable surface, such as a table. Sometimes it could be a chair, but in order to angle our camera down. Now, by doing that, it's going to make our subject kind of appear submissive, or as if that you are dominant. The view that you're shooting is from a dominant position, pointing downwards. Okay. The next one is face-to-face or head-on, and that's where you align yourself to your subject's face. It could be, if the subject is, for example, a clock on the wall, you would have to get, let's say the clock was here, I would have to get up higher to get that face-on or head-to-head shot. If you were to take a photo of me, as elementary school students, you would have to stand on a chair or something to get the head-on shot with me. And if I wanted to get a shot of you, I would have to stoop down, squat, in order to line my camera up with you. So that's the face-on or head-on shot. The next one is a low-angle shot. Now, it's the opposite of high angle. So what that would mean is that you're going to squat down and angle your camera up. So what that's going to do is, if I squat down and I start pointing my camera up, it's going to make the subject that I'm taking a photo of look more dominant, like more intimidating. So you could experiment with that. And when I talk about these subjects being dominating or looking intimidating or submissive or anything like that, I'm talking primarily about mammals or anything like that. So kind of keep that in mind as well. Now, it's not going to apply to if I was taking a photo of a clock on the wall and I was bending down and angling up toward the clock on the wall. That's not going to make the clock appear dominating. But so that was 4 with the low end. 5, and by far the most compelling image that a person can do out of all of these. All of them are dominant, but the bug's eye view is absolutely wonderful. Will immediately improve your photography. The bug's eye view requires you to set the camera on the ground or to lay down with your stomach on the ground in order to get that shot. What I mean is you're filling the frame, you're framing it correctly, you're getting really, really low, and you're shooting it from the perspective of a ladybug, something like really, really small. It's going to really bring out the composition. So here's some examples I drew up, so something that you guys could keep in mind. The first one is imagine you're in a plane and you could see, or you're a bird's eye view, and you're flying over the ocean. There's the beach, there's the water, there's a lifeguard tower. That's the bird's eye view. Second one is the high angle. So if I'm shooting down looking at, for example, a chair, this is kind of what I would see. Here's the, number 3 is face-to-face or head-on, where you get to the face level of the cat, right over there. Number 4 is the low angle, and that's getting low enough to make this goat appear more dominant. And remember, we're angling it up just slightly so that we can make the goat appear very dominant. Now the 5th one, the bug's eye view, is a dry erase marker just simply on the ground. Again, you place the camera on the ground in order to get that bug's eye view. So yeah, that's angle and perspective. Keep in mind that every shot for angle and perspective, whenever you take one shot of one subject, always take it from 5 different angles. Don't just take 2 shots from 2 different angles and think that's okay. It's not okay. We always shoot it from one subject from 5 different angles. So that's going to be very, very important. In fact, if you see anything in blue, make sure that you remember that, because that is it's going to really improve your photography. It's going to make things absolutely wonderful, and you will not regret it. You're not just going to be like, oh man, I wish I didn't take it at 5, shoot my subject at 5 angles. So kind of keep that in mind, and yeah, that's today's lesson.